City News.
CIWW 1310 AM in Ottawa.
And CJET 1011 FM in Smith Falls and the Valley. Number one for local news in Ottawa and the Valley. This is City News, now on 1011 FM and 1310 AM.
It's Thursday, June 3rd. Good morning. I'm Andrew Boyle. Right now in Ottawa and in Smith Falls, raining and 16 degrees. Now here's what's making news in Ottawa and the Valley. We are just getting the latest numbers of COVID-19 cases in the province. 870 is the number today. Now, 43 of those cases are in Ottawa. Again today, no new cases in Leeds, Grenville, Lanark, but there are 3 more in Eastern Ontario's health unit, 2 more in Renfrew. More on the numbers coming up at 10:30. It's a big day at Queen's Park. The opposition will have one last chance to grill the provincial government before the summer break. City News reporter Kevin Meisner tells us the province's plan to keep schools closed will likely dominate question period.
Fireworks are expected as the opposition blasts the Ford government over the decision to keep schools closed. NDP leader Andrea Horwath also questioning Premier Doug Ford's surprise promise to hold outdoor end-of-year graduation ceremonies for all students, an idea he apparently got from a young neighbor.
If you're going to announce something, have a plan. Don't just pull stuff out of your hat with some folksy story that throws everybody into mass confusion.
Ryan Bird with the Toronto District School Board isn't sure gatherings of that scale can be pulled together in just 3 weeks.
Graduation ceremonies typically take months of planning and are already planned, albeit virtual, but are already planned.
The Premier's also hinting at a move to stage 1 of reopening earlier than June 14th as possible. He may have something more to say about that tomorrow. Kevin Meisner, Queen's Park.
City News time at 10:02. School closures has also meant a suspension of some other vaccine programs other than COVID-19. Now, the city chief medical officer of health, Dr. Vera Etches, says those vaccines will be made up, but for the time being, they have been suspended. This is for things like HPV and hepatitis prevention. Full interview with Dr. Etches, including vaccine confusion and the schools not reopening this academic year, coming up in mere moments on the Rob Snow Show with guest host Sam LaPrade. City News time at 10:03. Now your forecast with meteorologist Jill Taylor.
Rain will end this morning, then cloudy, some more showers for the afternoon, even the possibility of an isolated thunderstorm. The high today, 21 degrees. Tonight, mainly clear and 14. And tomorrow, sun and cloud, more scattered wet weather, high near 29. For today, the high, 21.
And right now in Ottawa and in Smith Falls, raining and 16 degrees. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will attend this morning's virtual ceremony unveiling a national action plan. It's in response to the 2019 report by the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls. The plan is a framework of how the government will move forward on the inquiry's 231 calls to justice. Earlier this week, the Native Women's Association of Canada released its own action plan. Unlike the one being released today, it has targeted measures with reporting mechanisms as well as costs attached. Probably missed by some in the aftermath of the latest questionable hit in the NHL, the efforts of a linesman and one of the Jets players. After Montreal Canadian Jake Evans was knocked out with an illegal hit from Mark Scheifele after scoring into the empty net, a gaggle of those on ice came to Evans' defense. As the crowd gathered around the prone Evans on the ice, one linesman and the Jets' Nikolai Ehlers formed a barrier to keep the players from possibly causing even more damage to the injured player on the ice. Now, Scheifele did receive a 5-minute charging major and a game misconduct. NHL holding a disciplinary hearing for Scheifele today. Because this is not an in-person hearing, the maximum he could be suspended, if that's doled out, would be 5 games. I'm Andrew Boyle for News Anytime. Follow up online at ottawa.citynews.ca.
Talk back.
Hello. On the Rob Snow Show. The phone lines are open at 613-750-1310.
Now, the Rob Snow Show continues.
We definitely want to hear from you. It is the Rob Snow Show. I'm Sam LaPrade filling in today here on Rogers TV and City News. We want to hear from you, 613-750-1310. You'll probably want to chat with us after you hear my conversation earlier today with Dr. Vera Etches. She talks about a number of different topics. We're going to go to that interview now. Good morning, Dr. Etches.
Good morning.
Dr. Etches, I have thought about you 1,000 times. I can imagine this has been a very frustrating week for you.
You know, it's helpful for everyone to know what the plan is and to be able to, look forward to the summer and think about how, we can make it there. For many, I think the news that schools will no longer be open in person in June is going to be challenging news. And so I'm, concerned and focused on what can we do to help parents understand they're not alone. This is a hard time. A lot of people have used up their resources for coping, and so the end of the stay-at-home order does allow, a little bit more flexibility for parents to help each other take a small group of kids of 5 outside and supervise someone else to give a break to each other. I think these kinds of things will be important.
I just find, Dr. Etches, there really is two different camps, those that have the little ones at home and those that don't. And, for people that have the little ones at home, those 3 weeks really would have made a lot of difference to them.
It really is almost an impossible task to try to work virtually while supervising school and providing childcare for younger ones, and for other people who need to go out to work. Finding childcare has been a challenge. So I think it's reasonable, for parents to feel like this is hard and it's, reaching our limit. So again, I think it's important for people to reach out and think about those parents in your life. Text or call 3 or 4 people who have young children, especially, and offer potentially that support of an outdoor supervised time for parents to have a break. And for those who are parenting, there's no shame in seeking help. At this point, we do see the better weather. It's easier to be outside. The stay-at-home order is ended, but we still have that is true. 1 more month to go before those requirements for online education change.
Dr. Etches, obviously you have a very big job being our medical officer of health. So how often in a day do you maybe take that hat off and put your mom hat on and think about what this has meant for the city?
What I try to do is I try to make sure I'm home, I am home, or I go downstairs for dinner and have dinner with the family. I try to make sure I'm there to put the kids to bed. Not everyone has those options. I know everyone's is trying to find what works for them. That's what we're able to do in our household, and it's not all the time, but the weekends also a time right now where it's easier to get outside and go for a walk with the family, play in the park.
For sure. I've got my mom hat on for a minute. My daughter's 13 years old, and we received a note, of course, from your department indicating that, of course, she was ready for her HPV vaccine, and we booked that vaccine, and then, of course, those vaccines have been canceled in light of the fact children 12 and up can receive the COVID vaccine. Walk me through that decision.
Sure. So the regular public health work that we do definitely includes supporting children's immunization and immunization of youth against hepatitis and meningitis and the human papillomavirus. And those vaccines are usually given in school. So we have fallen behind because, first of all, schools were closed. And now as we were planning this catch-up, we don't want to interfere with the opportunity to have the COVID vaccine. But we will re-offer. We will do catch-up clinics for youth to have those 3 vaccines in the coming months. We're looking at being able to do that. And it is important. We don't want to have outbreaks of other serious illness or miss a chance to prevent cancer with the HPV vaccine.
Is there a concern about children having those vaccines in a relatively short distance between each other?
No, the concern is really more to simplify the investigation. If anyone has a reaction after a vaccine is given, we want to be able to tell which vaccine it's related to. So that's the reason. It's not that your body can't handle, a couple of vaccines in a shorter period of time. We think about childhood vaccines. We give many vaccines over, those months. So it's really more to simplify any follow-up if needed.
And of course, you and your team at Ottawa Public Health are always worried about, making sure everybody's cared for in that particular instance, and of course with COVID vaccine as well. Are you concerned about people maybe falling through the cracks?
We are going to keep working at this, making sure that everyone has a chance to have the COVID vaccine until we get very high coverage rates. We see the vaccine as effective, it's safe, and it's our ticket back to a life where we don't have to worry so much about these variants of concern. So the higher the level of vaccine coverage we get, the better. It helps everyone. And so we will be working with our primary care providers, the pediatricians, the pharmacies, our community health centers, our hospitals. Briere is doing excellent outreach right now to communities where it's just harder to get the transportation or to get the information in the right language. So we're talking about very resource-intensive methods of even going door to door. We want to make sure that everyone has the chance for this vaccine.
And let's talk about vaccines a little bit. We know that the process has not been easy. Many people have sort of called it the Hunger Games in terms of trying to track down those vaccines. I use the example recently of my mom who had her first dose at the Nepean Sportsplex. Her second dose will be in Winchester, Ontario. It just seems very odd, and I know this isn't on you, Dr. Etches, but the process has been challenging for so many people. What would you say to the people of Ottawa?
I would agree. It's been hard because the demand for the vaccine is high and the supply is not meeting the demand. Also, this idea of the first dose and then where do I get my second dose? We've been waiting to see what the tools are that the province will offer us, and we know that it isn't the easiest thing right now. We're actually looking at ways to actually reach out to everyone over 80 who got a vaccine before their 16 weeks are up, to make sure that they have that second dose appointment. So the team is going to make thousands and thousands of phone calls because we don't want someone to fall through the cracks because they can't get a spot in the big clinics in Ottawa right now. They're full. It's true, they're full. People have booked. Younger children or youth are now booking. We wanted to make sure that those people over 80 have to know they have a spot. And the other, point of access, really, I would encourage people right now, if you wanted to look for a second dose appointment, is with the pharmacies. And that system is variable because they're all private businesses. They run things in different ways. Most have an online booking system. Some have a wait list. Some have walk-ins. So it is hard for people to navigate. We, as I said, have recognized this, and the City of Ottawa is running an emergency operations center. It's that team that's going to reach out and just make sure that the people over 80 whose second dose is coming due know that they're taken care of.
Dr. Etches, do you think we'll see children under 12 receive a vaccine in 2021?
I think that's a very real possibility. Yes, there are studies right now of the vaccines, mRNA vaccines in children. When those studies are completed, they'll go to the regulatory bodies for approval. And I could see this coming each step of the way. We've been, pleasantly surprised at the way the vaccines have been developed, using the science, but using also a process where things were done in parallel to speed the process up, not skipping the steps, but doing them where, for example, the regulatory bodies get the studies as the studies are happening, so they can really keep up and approve things as soon as possible. And then that is something that we would really like to see as a safe and effective vaccine for children, because that just gives everyone more confidence that the COVID won't come to the family and spread to more vulnerable people, like grandparents or people who are in long-term care. We still want to make sure everyone who can be protected is protected.
Is it hard for you in your role to hear the news? Yes, we recommend that AstraZeneca be pulled. No, and now it's not pulled. And yes, you can mix vaccine. Has that been frustrating for you?
would say that what it creates is a communications challenge. It's not surprising in the context of totally new virus and having to develop new vaccines, the time to study them in the real world with different scenarios in real time. And so we're having to communicate in real time as more is learned and changes occur. It's important to react to what the science is telling us. So we do want to change our messages to the public based on the latest scientific data. But it can lead to people being confused about what's the latest information. So I always encourage people to look at the National Advisory Committee on Immunization for the latest review of the science around the vaccine. And our Ottawa Public Health website as well will keep people up to date.
Well, of course, we want to follow you on social media. You definitely have the best social media handle, and of course, those great communications coming out from your team from Ottawa Public Health. I really do enjoy them, especially last week's was really fun, of course, talking about sexual activity. Was that something that you knew about before it was put out on social media, Dr. Etches?
No, the team has my confidence and appreciation, and they operate, without me needing to supervise that closely. What I know the team very much values is the input from the public. So we're trying to use social media to listen to people as well as to communicate out.
Well, you have done a fantastic job, you and your team. I can't say enough. I want to thank you so much. And I encourage everyone to reach out and follow Ottawa Public Health, of course. Thank you for your time, Dr. Etches.
Thank you.
Really appreciate Dr. Etches spending time with me early this morning. When we come back, it's your time to talk. Stay with us here on City News.
Another Highbridge Construction satisfied customer.
The Highbridge, I've always found, has done an amazing job from the quality standpoint, but still been very reasonably priced.
That's Alex from Orleans.
We've also referred them to friends and family, and we're always very confident when they come that if something does go wrong, that they're always going to be there for us as well.
Go to highbridgeconstruction.com. View their portfolio and contact information. Physical distancing and safety protocols are in place. For new home construction, renovations, and emergency repairs, take the Highbridge.
You are the future.
Mondays on City TV.
Holy there he is. Yeah, it's Gordon Ramsay. The master. How old is he? 21. He looks 16.
This is definitely the youngest he's had.
He's looking for one special seed. I've decided to find the best young chef in America and make that individual my protege.
This is really happening.
Hell's Kitchen. Young Guys. All new Mondays, 7, 6 Central on City TV. Or stream anytime on the City TV app or citytv.com.
And now it's time to clear the air. Have you recently completed home renovations? Do you have pets or several occupants in your home? If you answered yes to either of these questions, you need to clear the air with the air duct and dryer vent cleaning service from Carlton Refrigeration Heating and Air Conditioning. Your air ducts will be cleaned, more energy efficient, and you'll breathe easier. Find out how at carltonrefrigeration.com.
Carlton Refrigeration Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort specialist.
Streams of Truth. Brought to you by Sportsnet Now.
Sports fans just want one thing, to watch the game in peace. So, go ahead, confiscate your child's tablet and stream the game with Sportsnet Now. You deserve to find peace, and you can do so by streaming sports on a tablet protected by a pink butterfly case smeared with applesauce.
Live stream sports with Sportsnet Now.
Actually, that might be apricot.
Starting at $9.99. Visit smnow.ca for details.
My van was hit by a woman who had too many drinks and thought she was still okay to drive. Now she's dead, and so am I. My wife will never see me again, and never walk again. But she'll get through it. She will get through it.
Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MAD Canada, provides free support services for anyone affected by impaired driving. For medical, legal, and emotional support, click on Victim Support at madd.ca. You've worked hard all your life to provide for your family. It has taken a lifetime for you to build your wealth. Make sure it is protected with an estate and legacy plan. Give yourself and your family stability and peace of mind. Peter Fraser and his team at Cardinal Planning can help you protect your family and estate for generations to come. Minimize high taxes and fees. Ensure generational success. Wisely set up inheritances and more. Keep your wealth. Talk to the professionals at Cardinal Planning because peace of mind is a conversation worth having. Visit cardinalplanning.ca.
It's time to talk back.
On the Rob Snow Show.
Have your say and call now.
613-750-1310.
It is the Talk Back Hour on the Rob Snow Show. I'm Sam LaPrade filling in for Rob this week. We definitely want to hear from you. There are so many topics to discuss, whether it be the closure of schools. Of course, lots of parents and grandparents upset by that. Are you trying to find a vaccine? There are endless conversations that we can have today. And I understand that Diane from Stittsville wants to talk about school. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Sam. It's good to hear you on the radio, and thanks for having Dr. Etches on.
Thank you.
Okay, so the NDP and the unions, they are always complaining about the schools. They want more ventilation, they want more cleaning, they want smaller classes. And now, even though some experts have said that the schools should not be open, they now want them open, and they're going to be very critical of the government. But the experts, there are experts in Ottawa who talk about the variants that are coming to Canada. They're in the UK, and I guess that's the reason the schools aren't going to be open. So I've got a lot to say, Sam. I'm sorry. Do the NDP and the unions care about the Ontario debt? Mm-hmm. You know that expression, show me the money? Where should our money that we don't have in Ontario go? Should it go to long-term care? Should it go to nurses and PSW? Should it be at the schools? They would now be complaining next week that there's not air conditioning in certain schools. Old schools, many of them do not have air conditioning.
Right.
As you said, Sam, my granddaughters are in their room most of the day. I'm really concerned about them staying in their room all day. One of them is in high school, one in grade 8. The one in high school has missed music, gym, art, and oh yeah, that's the one in grade 8 as well. Mm-hmm. All of those things.
Those creative things that children crave so much.
Yes, and now I've repeated this for the last year. My daughter-in-law is doing 2 jobs. She has a full-time job working from home, and she has a job working with her grade 9 and grade 8 and grade 10 children, because she has to help them with French immersion subjects, and she has to help them with math, especially the one in grade 8. So, yeah. And somebody the other day said that you can only get 32 credits in high school. Well, I'm not sure that that's actually true, because if you fail a subject, you can take another subject. You can go to Reach Ahead programs. I know one of my granddaughters, she did. Mm-hmm. She did a Reach Ahead. If you don't pass, you can repeat that grade. Right. I didn't get on the phone this morning to a high school to find out, but I know that my son, when he was in grade 13, he was able to do a half semester to pick up a couple of grade 13 credits and then go on to university. So I don't quite agree with that teacher that called in the other day. Okay. Plus, autism and special ed students, most of them can go to school till they're 21. And a lot of our money is going into autism and special ed. So I've had all these points that I wanted to make.
I'm so glad. And I can tell you're really passionate about this, Diane. We spoke before, and I'm so glad you've called. I think your perspective as a grandparent is a really important one. And I'll tell you, for your daughter-in-law, I feel her absolutely in terms of grade 8 math. Those things have been really challenging.